Well, I think the Wall of Respect did a lot of things. It didn't just show you some people that you may or may not have heard of, but it told you you had the right to recognize them, that you could recognize them in the way that you wanted to. This was, after all, a renegade movement. You know, the artists got up there and did it. They didn't necessarily go through all the permitting processes and all those things to do. They just felt that it was important to do this, and they did it. So it was not just that you got a chance to see the heroes and heroes depicted, but you got a chance to understand that your heroes belong to you, that your art belonged to you, that you could use it to help rescue our sense of pride, and it spurred a movement that went across the country.
So the Wall of Respect in some ways didn't, in my estimation, didn't necessarily represent guerrilla art. It represented an opportunity for us to create framing about what we were and what we should be, and that came about as a result of a collective movement. It wasn't independent. Those artists got together with all of us collectively, and we began to look at what is our purpose, like what is the role of art? Is it to move people forward, or is it just to create it for art's sake? And so all the movements, I think, that happened around that period of time were done in tandem. The other thing I like to say about the Wall of Respect is that it grew out of a notion of the need to improve how we felt about ourselves. It became ultimately responsible for a mural movement that took place around the country. But in essence, the reason that the wall was created and was originally called the Wall of Heroes was to begin to pay homage to those people that were doing something to benefit our growth as a people. And that's why the images were created and how they were selected for who would be on the wall.
So the heroes that are on the Wall of Respect, you know, from Malcolm X to Muhammad Ali to, you know, Rap Brown, and there are two versions. You have the original version, then you have another version of the wall, okay? So I'm looking at the original version, and it must be, I need to give these names out in terms of the painters and the printmakers and the photographers. You know, Sylvia Abernathy, Jeff Donaldson, Elliot Hunter, Wordsworth Gerald, Barbara Jones, Carolyn Lawrence, Norman Parrish, William Walker, and Marna Weaver, and the photographers Billy Abernathy, Daryl Colhert, Roy Lewis, and Robert Syntax, and Edward Christmas, mixed media commercial artist. And this was 1967, okay? And it was destroyed in 1971. And so when you look at the heroes, from John Coltrane to Amiri Baraka to Gwendolyn Brooks to John Oliver Killens to the Nation of Islam to you know, the major musicians, Muhammad Ali, the boxer, and so forth, that these were heroes that were not in the mainstream in many cases. But we have recognized them as being very important to us.
So the Wall of Respect was just phenomenal. It was an uplifting when you saw the pictures and the display of fathers and sons and even some religious connotations, but the uplifting of the fact that religion was bringing people together. And so just to see yourself too, people who look like you, was empowering. And so yes, public art is revolutionary, and revolutionary means change. And if change is done for the betterment of a group of people or society, then it's well worth the effort.
The responsibility of artists was to do work which was meaningful to the community in which the work was cited. There was not, prior to 1967, very anything at all that would be considered community engaged public art. The Wall of Respect in '67 at 43rd and Langley really set up a new standard for artists of all sorts to work and to be appreciated in and to be respectful of and inspiring to the communities in which they live. Bill Walker, who thought of doing the Wall of Respect with the other artist, Obasi, was a co-founder of Chicago Public Art Group. We were founded out of the same social spirit that created the Wall of Respect, and an extension of it which went to the idea that in a deeply segregated city, there should be evidence of artists working together across race. At that time in the city, there was virtually no evidence of people working together across race in public, if you can imagine that.
There was a culture that I never knew of. Brought up in an integrated environment all my life, right from the get-go. But there was something that was wrong with it because it wasn't integrated. It was segregated. I was just too fucked up to realize that it was segregated, you know? But the art persisted, and there was that movement, you know, Afro Cobra and other groups of artists, and I began to fall in love with myself, you know? That damn, when I went to Southern, brothers really turned me around. I mean, you know, guys that are in my classes come telling me that, look, you don't have to do the white thing, you know, you can do the black thing. Brothers showed up in hats called Big Apples back then, cocked to the side, you know, and sisters had their hair fixed in their own makeup and wearing African garb and stuff, you know, and I'd come down there, you know, playing Gloria, you know, singing that stuff, you know, G-L-R-I-A, and the guys grabbed me and said, you just don't have to do this, be yourself. And that was an education in itself. And I came back and I taught at the Art Institute, and slowly I began to discover, I mean, not to recognize, but to actually discover African American art that was a movement, that is a movement. It's just persistent, it leaks, it drips, you know. But water will dissolve a rock if it keeps dripping on it, you know. So that's what the African movement, African American art movement means to me here in Chicago. And look at my work. This stuff is black as you want to be, you know. It's strongly black.
I would love to see a Wall of Respect 2 as a continuum with contemporary ideas and voices across generations led by our youth. I think practice is through participation, and the word is powerful only because it's backed up by the action. So that's what, you know, I would see. I think with the advent of technology and crowdfunding, we have opportunities to reinvent the ways in which we support, both from media and from money, from economics. We can innovate, invent new possibilities of support for high-level black arts, as well as arts in general, expression. I think it's time for the world to recognize that artists have great utility, that they are extremely purposeful for inspiring a better way of life, of enhancing our thought process, of touching our hearts, our minds, our spirits, and to see ways in which there is positive, progressive, and innovative remuneration for jobs well done. Obviously, in terms of Black arts movement, the job was well done. In the future, we have to figure out a new balance, our own value system within this economic strata, where we see ways in which we can respect, wall of respect. We need a spirit of respect with a new community collaboration and involvement that would engage and inspire our youth no matter what direction of career, such as artists, that they will have an opportunity to thrive in their lifetime and work also for those to thrive in the future through the arts. That is the wall of respect.